Project Calibra is back, but it's a different color than the last time, so yeah, it's not the same car. After a little incident with the last one, I fixed it up a little bit and sold it as is. We decided it was time to get another one, so here it is. It's blue, 1993. We already did some stuff to it, like paint the trims, fix the arches of course, put some wheels on it, some springs. It's already got the Steinmetz spoiler on it. Of course we had to do the classic 16 valve exhaust. Had to get the entire this side painted because the paint was very rough. Of course also painted trim at the front because it's so much better, and a nice Renault Espace lip on the front. This car already appeared on the channel once before when we did the headlining. Blue seats, nothing special. It's got the trip computer, no AC. It's got a nice cassette holder. It's got the non-airbag steering wheel. Of course, your classic cracked dash. A little peel on the door cards, which is a classic Calibra thing, but we can fix that. Only 170,000 kilometers on it. We also already did some suspension work in the front, so everything's pretty new. There's just one problem with it. It's got an 8 valve in it. So I think it's time to fix that. We're going to solve our problem of our Calibra being slow by installing this lovely C20XC 16 valve red top engine in our Calibra. Now we're gonna disassemble everything here because belts need replacing, gaskets need replacing before we put it in. Sadly it's not the cost cast, it's the later model, but it's gonna be fine.
It's hard to get it in Slovenia, you know.
This was pretty cheap, decent price, and now we're just gonna check how it looks inside. I can already tell nobody's been changing oil, but whatever, you know. Time to remove the valve cover and see what's hiding. There we go. The hose is a bit stuck here, but it's gonna pull off. It's a bit crusty, nobody changing the oil and stuff, to be expected. It's not too bad, just needs one change of engine oil with oil flush, and it's no wear, so it wasn't run dry. At least the cams are good, so if everything else is shit, the cams are good, confirmed. I have the wiring and the ECU and the AFM coming from Poland, because Poland has all the Opel parts. We have the manifold, the power steering pump needs to be washed, it's so dirty. And we also got some brakes and stuff, but the clutch is destroyed, so I ordered a new clutch. Very hard to get for the pot type flywheel. Engine mounts, very broken, but I bought two of the same mount because, yeah, why not? They were cheap.
The big question is, where do you want to put the old engine?
You know, leave in the comments if you want to see a
any Corsa with this engine.
with a C20NE, a Corsa A, a Corsa B, maybe a Cadet, maybe a Daewoo Racer, you know, for all time.
Oh, that's good.
We cleaned the surface of the engine block, and now we need to clean this for the oil pickup. And then we're going to put this gasket on. This is an 8 valve gasket because it comes with the pan, because the 16 valve has the cork stupid gasket that's garbage, so we're not gonna use that. So we're gonna do the 8 valve. You put it on, you just have to bend this little bit. You have to bend it out so it's flat here. And it bolts on perfect. You need shorter bolts, 20mm M6 bolts. Then we put this on, we put the pickup tube on, and then we put the freshly cleaned oil pan on. Put some silicone right here on the block, and yeah, that's it. We're gonna put it on, and that's the bottom of the engine done. Yeah. Brand new ratchet set. I used it twice. Once for unbolting this plastic cover, the second time fucking garbage. Oh. There was so much dirt and grime in the PCV pipes and in the baffles, so we removed the baffles because they're just unbolted, cleaned everything as much as possible. Now Just gonna reapply a thin bead of silicone, put this back on, put the bolts back on. Of course, use some Loctite so the bolts don't fall in your engine, and then we're gonna reapply the gasket. Today was parts day, so hopefully we got the right clutch now for the pot type flywheel with the bearing. Very hard to get anymore, which is weird because this was like the only one in Slovenia, so that's not great. And we got a Waller thermostat, should be like original. Timing belt, axle seals, water pump, some new spark plugs, and we have some goodies in here. 16 valve airbox with the pipe, so we're gonna need this, so it's gonna connect to the MAF because the 8 valve has the MAF on the other side. We put the intake on, oriented all the hoses correctly and stuff. I still need to figure out some idle air hoses because some idiot just cut that off and now the hose doesn't fit on the idle motor anymore. Hopefully by the end of today this is gonna be all timed, everything fresh on this side, and tomorrow we have a new alternator coming for this, and then hopefully we can mount all the accessories. The wiring is coming in a few days, and then should be ready to swap. Time for the timing belt. So you want to make sure before you pull everything off, this mark right here, this one right here, and then on the bottom here you have this and the one on the oil pan or the cover right here. It's perfect, and now we're gonna take the tensioner off. Just pull the belt off somewhere. You gotta start somewhere, like here. Go here. There we go, all timing belt, goodbye. And now we can take the tensioner off. It's pretty rusty, so I'm good with replacing it. And this is the water pump. Just remove these 3 Allen bolts and it comes out. Then we're gonna replace, I think we have these rollers also. And yeah, put it back. Time to clean this surface nicely. The O-ring comes here. Replace the water pump. Perfect. Click. Perfect. There you go, water pump. Time for a new tensioner. This one's pretty brown and sucky, and this one's fresh and new. And you get it stuck in here with this tooth so it doesn't spin around. And then we're gonna tension it.
Take care with it, it was expensive.
Yes, it was like €5. Because some things are very cheap for this car and some things you can't buy anymore. Okay, it's on. Marks are still here. The imported one is down here. Sometimes it will go a little bit more, and then you can just loosen it a little bit. Perfect. And there we go. Won't get any better. We need to go 2 times fully around on this one, and then we will see if it's still good. This is perfect, look here and here, and up here is perfect with this, and this one is perfect with this. So we done it good. This is tension, this is all nice and tensioned. You can't spin it more than 45 degrees. Last little drive before I yanked the engine out. It was good while it lasted, but it's time for more power. 6 p.m. It's almost ready to come out. The exhaust needs to be unhooked. And then we have 2 heater pipes, not too bad. And speedo cable, yes, speedo cable. I don't know how this comes off. Oh, there's a bolt. Nice, nice. And clutch cable, yes, clutch cable. This mount, the mount on the other side, and 2 bolts for the one in the subframe.
Yeah.
And then yank it out.
In conclusion, should be done tomorrow.
I want to go home. I'm dirty. There's always a problem. The last bolt. But here we have a stubborn power steering line. And now we have this. And we have this. And hopefully it's gonna come out.
Yeah, right. Okay. Oh, locked it.
The old engine is out. Here is our engine bay. Needs a little bit of cleaning, not too bad. We found a little bit of rust there, but just surface rust, luckily. And there you go, here is our 16 valve Calibra, finally.
Perfect.
Now there's just everything else to be connected, but the mounts are in. A little update, the wiring has been mounted. It was a long process, so we didn't film too much because it's just a lot of time figuring out where everything goes. And mounted the exhaust. Don't have the right donut gasket for underneath, but that's fine. We got the MAFT, so we can try and start it. Also mounted the oil cooler, made up some new brackets here to mount the oil cooler because the 8 valve didn't have this. So now that's fixed. Axles are in. Replace the brakes, lower it so we can refill the transmission, and we gotta put some engine oil in it. And then we can try and start it and see what happens. We're missing a throttle cable, so anyone who's doing a swap, you need a 16 valve throttle cable. So now it's time to try turning the key. It's in neutral, cranking. Okay, again. Let's see, are there any leaks or anything? I unplugged the crank sensor just so we can build some oil pressure because the cooler and everything is empty. No extreme leaks yet, so let's try cranking again or 2 times. Then we're gonna plug it in and find out. Okay, crank sensor is in. Now we hope there's no fuel leaks because there's gonna be fuel, I guess. I hope.
Maybe fuel.
Okay, so no start yet. Let's find out what we're missing. We tested everything, it's not starting, but we figured out what the problem is, kind of. So the injectors are not getting ground, they're getting 12 volt but not ground, because if you put into the battery they work and fuel goes in, and when you crank you have firing. So basically ECU is not commanding the injectors or something, but I mean, doesn't stop us from starting with some good old brake clean. Get the math out. Give it some
rocket fuel.
So we just kept unplugging stuff and testing a million things, and now it just started. So I don't know. Let's try again. I don't know. Just a second. Okay. It started. I don't know why. I don't know how, but we just unplugged the wires for the fuel injectors a million times, and we tested everything possible, and it runs. Okay, everything has been reassembled, just waiting on a throttle cable, and we need a new crankshaft pulley because we figured out that this one is very bent in the middle, so the rubber bit is like sideways, and that's not good, and it's the old type, so it's pretty rare. Hopefully we can get one.
So we are doing the final things, like installing the belts, and he's doing some exhaust system installation.
Okay, everything is connected, exhaust is installed, we got power steering, we got some coolant in it, so... It's not exactly running right. A little backfire. Nice. So it was running on 3 cylinders, and we used some wires to test the injectors. I was pulling out spark plug wires, third one didn't do anything. I got electrocuted, so spark is there, and yeah, the injector is not firing. We tried wires to it, direct from the battery, and no response. So I guess we now have to take the rail out, take the injectors out, and then try to shock the injector back into life or clean it or something. I hope it works. We have had a bunch of problems with getting this running. So the first thing was one of the injectors was stuck closed, so I got an ultrasonic cleaner, cleaned the injectors, and now they're working fine. Then we had a bunch of check engine lights and a bunch of running issues, so it was this ground right here, which comes on the rail. It just snapped off, so I replaced that. Then another issue was the rotor and cap, very destroyed, and after replacing that it starts perfectly fine, but we still had an engine light and it wouldn't rev up or anything, so I found the problem. So this is the throttle body that we had on the car. You can see the square sensor, that's the later type throttle body, and this is our new old type throttle body with this angular TPS. So this is what we need for the car, and hopefully this fixes it. We're gonna install it right now, and then hopefully we can finally go for a first drive. Here we go. No more engine lights. There's that, okay. What? Now that you press the throttle it works, because previously it would just go but now this works, and this engine hasn't ran in years probably, and everything's crusty, so hopefully it's gonna drive, but I guess we're gonna find out. Yeah, we're just gonna go up and down this road a few times because we're close to the shop, so if it breaks down we have a tow rope. There's a bit of noise from the brakes because they're new brakes, but whatever. So we need to go easy a little bit. Too bad.
Maybe there is a towing car or something. Let's see. No, it's not.
No, it's a dumpster truck. So
goddamn.
That's our next solution. So far, works. Works good. Feels good to have a nice clutch finally. The other one was so worn out, and now you just release the clutch and perfect. And the shifter is now so tight because I replaced all the bushings. So
that's great.
Is awesome. So turn around and go back this road. Probably.
Oh. sound of an engine was better before, I guess, but yeah.
It's a typical 16-valve engine.
Test drive was successful, and the check engine light came on, and it got a little bit sluggish, so the code is for the oxygen sensor. It's probably the oxygen sensor because it's really old, and luckily you can get a new Bosch one for like 50 euros, so we're probably gonna just replace that so we make sure it's good. Finally drives, I can drive this home and then I can fix the sensor at home. Yeah, the gearbox is leaking a little bit. The only thing I didn't reseal, of course it leaks super hard.
It's an old Opel.
Yeah, of course it's an old Opel. We have a junk BMW and an old Opel, so there's like oil stains everywhere.
Yeah.
I guess we'll test it out and we'll see.